Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to this week's edition of the Blockchain Developer Weekly Digest. I'm your host, George from LimeChain, and in this episode, we're going to see news from Truffle, we're going to see news from Web3.js. Of course, there are going to be some new libraries, and this time I have included one very interesting piece from Richard Moore and one very interesting tutorial from Band Protocol. Also, we're going to take a look at what is coming for the next week. So without any further delays and without any further ado, let's get straight into it. And the main news of this week was actually the Constantinople fork that went through successfully. There actually has been now several contracts that have been created through the Create2 opcode that we were talking about. And in terms of developments, well, the main news comes from Truffle, and Truffle have released new version 5.0.6 and has like major improvements on the debugger. It has like some news and improvements on the compiler and the compiler output. So let's see what's in there. So from the debugger side, well, there are like massive improvements in terms of how does the debugger decodes the Solidity data type. So now apparently and the debugger can do everything, can decode all the data types that are there. So now you're going to be like being able to see like how many gas is there in the certain executions, and yeah, pretty much all data types you will be able to see. There are some small breaking changes that are introduced, but these are like mainly for people that are using the debugger as a library instead of just as the debugging tool. And this is like just the portion with the debugger. In addition, there are like several improvements. First of all, like the compiler output now shows you with exactly which compiler version you're compiling. And also there is a new command that allows you to just fetch, download and install specific version of SolC for you to use later when you don't have like internet connection and etc. So like major improvements. There are also some bug fixes in this release. Great job from Truffle, and kudos to them. Next piece of news comes from Web3.js library. So there have been like miles long list of bug fixes that is released in their latest version, beta 47. Apart from these bug fixes, there are like two enhancements. First one is the refactoring of the ETH accounts module from Web3, where you can like pass a custom signer. So for example, you can pass an HD signer for you to use with your hardware wallets. And the other change is pretty much coming from the decoding part. So the ABI decoder can now decode different logs. So good for Web3.js, and looking forward for even more new things. And on the topic of new things, there are actually two new libraries that I want to talk with you about. First one, very interesting thing, again coming from EthEnver if I'm not mistaken. It is a library called Lambdeth. And it's a library allowing you to easily work with arrays in Solidity. So in this new library, you'll be able to do things like concatenations of arrays. You can check whether array contains a different element. You can do a mapping. You can do filtering. You can do slicing, and you can check whether there is just you can be returned a new array that has all the values unique. So every value will be returned just once. So look at what Lambdeth is giving to you. See whether it's going to be like worth it, including into your smart contracts, and pretty much reuse this code. And another library is for Elliptic Curves Solidity. And pretty much currently everything that is done in Ethereum is based on the standard Ethereum curve with the abbreviation of SECP 256K1, But of course, there are other curves that can be used. And this new library, the elliptic curve library, is actually allowing you to use other different curves. For example, you can use the one that ends with R1, or you can use prime 256 V1. So you can check it in the links below. So pretty much what EthRecover gives you for our standard Ethereum curve, you can do with these new curves now. And yeah, pretty much check it out. Use it for your new logic. Keep in mind that this is going to be probably using much more gas than EthRecover. But if for some reason you want to use different curves, either for security or other considerations, go ahead and check Elliptic Curve library. Link is going to be in the description. And this week, I've decided to include one article and one tutorial because they have been very, very impressive. So first one is an article from Richard Moore, the developer, the creator of Ethers.js, my very favorite library for working with Ethereum. And he has actually written a piece reviewing and thinking what is going to happen if quantum computing actually breaks some part of Ethereum, your private public key wallets or your hash functions. So in this piece, Richard takes a look at what could be broken, how it could be broken, and actually how can we later react to this and safeguard against problems. So look for this article in the description and read through it because it's a pure gold. And on the other side, something that is not in the future, but something that we have needed for a long time, Band protocol, which is a toolkit for building decentralized curation communities, has actually released a very cool tutorial and a library that is allowing you to actually encode and later evaluate complex math expressions. So this is a massive thing for token curated registries and for bonding curves in all its facets and applications. So you can take this library and use it to build your complex maths. So check the tutorial, everything is explained there, and try using this Solidity library into your TCR or bonding curve project. So yeah, this was the tutorial that I wanted to show to you, and pretty much these are the major things that happened last week. However, there are two things for you to look forward into next week. And first thing, there is actually a hard fork coming probably on 6th of March for the Eternity blockchain, and it's called Minerva. And it's a very interesting thing. Main things that we are going to see there in terms of development things is let me check. Well, most of them are about state channels, so you'll be able to decrypt and verify signatures off-chain for the inbuilt state channels into Eternity, one of the major differentiating features of Eternity. So major improvements there, and of course the stability of the network is going to be vastly enhanced through this hard fork coming on 6th of March. So look forward for this week's Minerva hard fork of Eternity. And last but not least, well, it's EthCC week in Paris. So Ethereum Community Conference is happening this week. You're going to see a lot of knowledge coming out of Paris. You're going to see a lot of projects sharing what they have done, new communities built, and yours truly is obviously going to be there. I can't miss this one. So if you see me there, come say hi or tell me how shitty these videos are. And yeah, let's chat and keep yourselves updated with things that are happening on EthCC because it's going to be major. And pretty much this is the last thing that I wanted to share with you. Like always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And yeah, pretty much keep it safe, develop hard, and see you very soon. Bye.